all to our meeting number 1289. Words have the energy and the power and the ability to heal or to hurt us. So I request you all, while talking on any topic, please do mind your words and please stay on mute unless you need to speak. Turn on your videos so that it'll brighten up our meeting. Encourage all our role takers and speakers whenever needed. As kids, we always have a very small world, family, a close set of friends. Even though we don't express or communicate, they do understand us just by looking at us. However, it is important to communicate well, to have a good relationship and not have misunderstandings. But what about when we go into the corporate world? We are always put on the edge. Maybe due to some bad communication, it may cause misunderstandings and it may also cost our jobs. Seeing all these struggles, a person named Dr. Smedley, the full name will be told later, once and for all put an end to all these struggles. Well, if you again want to know how and why, please do listen carefully, stay back, our TM will tell you why. And let us please take a moment to thank Dr. Smedley for all his contributions. Thank you. I would now like to introduce a person who had great difficulty in speaking English fluently before. He used to feel shy and hesitant to express and communicate. However, now, with all his hard work, he's become a wonderful, effective, efficient communicator. I would now like to hand over the virtual stage to our always charming president, Srijit Kilakilo. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Keetana, for that lovely introduction. As always, you do. Thank you so much. Dear members and esteemed guests, a very good evening to each one of you. I declare the meeting number 1289 open. Now I request our secretary, Toastmaster Preeti, to read out the minutes of previous meeting. Over to you, Preeti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Bangalore Toastmasters and guests. Happy festivities to all of you here. The meeting number 1288 was very special as it was our first offline meeting of the term with the theme, Teachers are the Builders of the Nation. Word of the day being tutelage, meaning guardianship. Sergeant-at-Arms Keetana and our president kick-started the meeting with wonderful anecdotes, stressing on the importance of the impact of a teacher in our lives. Toastmaster Mohan's icebreaker, Toastmaster Kamlesh's victory over diabetes, and Toastmaster Varsha's tryst with social media kept the audience captivated. TMOD, Toastmasters Karnakar's humorous one-liners kept the momentum high. General evaluators, DTM Dr. Rajdeep sir with his Taggle team, along with the other evaluators, Toastmaster Achyuta, Toastmaster Allen, and DTM Sumitra ma'am were extra scrupulous in enhancing the worth of the meeting and giving that crisp feed forward. To everybody's delight, Table Topic Master Toastmaster Jose Paul sir had aligned the table topics with the theme, giving a comfort zone to the speakers. Otherwise, a nerve-wracking exercise for everyone. The honorees of the day were Taggle team player Toastmaster Chaitanya R, role taker DTM Dr. Rajdeep Manwani, table topic speaker Toastmaster Saurav, evaluator Toastmaster Allen and Toastmaster Achyuta. Best speaker Toastmaster Varsha. Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Preeti. Dear members, are there any amendments? Silence?
No.
No. Thank you. Thank you. So I declare the minutes stand pass. Thank you. He is more than a man. He is an age. I hope you know whom I am talking about. Yes, it is none other than the founder of Toastmaster International, Dr. Ralph C. Smedley. Do you all know when the Toastmaster movement officially started? Yes, I know. Many of you know. Yeah. 1924, October 22nd in Santa Ana, California. Yes, you are right. But the idea of Toastmaster seeded in his mind much before. Soon after his graduation, he got the opportunity to work in YMCA, Illinois, where he had plenty of opportunity to interact with the young people. And he understood the challenges. They faced the challenge to express their ideas effectively in front of a group of people. That was his moment. He planted a seed in his mind to create a system to help these people to improve their communication. That seed got sprouted out in March 1905. That was his first attempt to create a club. Then till 1924, he might have started almost 4 to 5 clubs. But it could prosper only as long as Dr. Smedley was associated with those clubs. However, he never gave up his mission. With lot of readings, lot of discussions, and many innovative ideas, he nurtured that seed to become a plant. And he planted it on October 22nd, 1924. After that, there was no looking back. That tree grown up to become that plant grown up to become a gigantic tree with lots of branches and still standing strong and tall. The beauty of the system he created that even Dr. Ralph C. Smedley left this world on 11th September 1965, 56 years ago. Still, there are people to nurture this tree to grow even greater heights. That is what a true leader would do, right? The true leader is not the one who has many followers. A true leader is the one who creates many leaders. From his life, if you ask me, I would, if you ask me what is the great learning from his life, I would choose the 2 options. The first one, never give up. He had many difficulty to implement his idea. From 1905 till 2000 to 1924, he had struggled really hard. But he never gave up. He chased his dream to come to reality. The second option, I would vote for helping others with genuine interest. This is one of the rare quality we can see in good leaders. And very important quality a leader must have. He always says, or we can say his mantra is, keep it simple, boys, keep it simple. That was his mantra. With that note, we have a person amongst us who is known for his simplicity. He is such a humble and grounded person. He is graduated from IIT, and he is now working in IBM. And he is well known in our club for his clinical evaluations. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Toastmaster Sudipto Ghosh as our TMOD.
Thank you, Srijit, for those warm words. Dear fellow Toastmasters and guests, how are you all doing today?
Great.
Great.
Could you use the chat section and describe your mood in just one word? You have 15 seconds to get it done. Thank you all. Reading the comments, I feel now even more doubly excited to be part of this meeting. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank the VP Education for coming up with this wonderful theme for the day. The 20th century saw many giants tread this earth. And Dr. Ralph C. Smedley was a colossus amongst those giants. To take off from what our dear president said, the tree he planted has now grown roots in 141 countries, with over 16,000 branches as in clubs and over 3.5 lakh leaves, that is V members. A legacy like that would be well nigh impossible to emulate. As we heard from the president, the first meeting was held, first official club meeting was held in the basement of the Santa Ana YMCA on October 22nd, 1924. But that was after so many false starts, right? Starting from the club, which was supposedly the very first unofficial club, which was started in the YMCA building in Illinois, in Bloomington, in Illinois. While there are so many lessons we can learn from Dr. Ralph's life, for me, that is the one key takeaway. For 20 years, for 20 long years, somebody nurtured a dream in their heart. It took 20 years to fructify. Today, when I'm faced with failures in my own personal life, I keep going back to that point. If not today, there's a tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, there's another day after that. Dr. Ralph later on took up the full-time role of an educational director of the Toastmasters movement in 1941. And thereon he edited and gave 2 manuals, the basic training and the beyond basic training. He was a perennial worker and continued in role as an director till just shortly before his death at the age of 87. The Toastmasters meetings still follow a very similar prescription to what he had started off all. A typical meeting has 3 sections. One is the prepared speech section, where the members would give their speeches as per the project guidelines in the manuals. I mean, it used to be the basic manual, today is the pathways manual. Then we have the impromptu speaking section, where a member would be given a topic and the person has to speak on his feet. And lastly, but most importantly, the evaluation session, where a very experienced Toastmaster would give a detailed evaluation report of the entire proceedings, evaluating every speaker's as part of the meeting. And today, donning the general evaluator's role, we have a Toastmaster who is a multifaceted personality with an eclectic range of interests. An entrepreneur. He has been part of the Toastmasters fraternity for more than last 8 years. And what else? Ready? Well, he is a director of short films. Imagine this. One of his documentaries, titled 175 Grams, has been screened at the very prestigious Sundance Film Festival. That should be motivation enough today for all our role takers. Alan, please keep an eye on my role as well. So Alan, could we have you explain your role, please?
Yeah, thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. As my role as the general evaluator, I will be conducting the evaluation portion of the meeting. A team will assist me in giving feedback to the speakers, and I will evaluate the meeting as well. Over to the Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Alan. So as Alan mentioned, we have two sets of teams to assist Alan. One is the speech evaluators, and the other team, which we call the Taggle team, which is the timer, the accountant, the grammarian, and the listener. Today, as timer, we have a gentleman who claims that he has found his calling in life and he's relentlessly pursuing the same. Prateek, could you shed some light on your role, please?
Sure. Thank you, Toastmasters. Sudipto. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As a timer today, I'll be timing all the prepared speeches, table topics, and the evaluations. I will be alerting all the speakers about the time remaining by changing the background of my screen to green, amber, and red. The time allocated for prepared speeches for icebreaker, it's 4 to 6 minutes. I will be flashing the green card at the end of 4th minute, yellow at the end of 5th minute, and red at the end of 6th minute. For other prepared speeches, the time allocated is 5 to 7 minutes. Green card will be flashed at the end of 5th, yellow at the end of 6th, and red at the end of 7th minute. For speaker 3, the allocated time is 10 to 15 minutes. I'll flash the green card at the end of 13th minute, yellow at the end of 14th minute, and red at the end of 15th minute. For evaluations, the allocated time is 2 to 3 minutes. Green card will be flashed at the 2nd minute, yellow at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and red at the end of 3rd minute. For table topics, the allocated time is 1 minute 30 seconds. Green card will be flashed at the end of 1 minute, red at the end of 1 minute 30 seconds. I'll present the detailed report at the end of the meeting, and I request all the speakers to pin me onto your screen. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Who that she can transform a million realities. Nazneen, could you help expand on your role?
Yes, thank you to Toastmaster of the Day. Good evening, all. As the R counter, I'll be listening to the R's and the other filler words that people often use. Many people don't even notice how many times they say "ah" when they are generally speaking. It can be very distracting. Example, if you watch some of the people in the general speakers, it'll drive you absolutely crazy. People speaking with so many R's and ums, it makes no sense to what they are saying. I will be counting these carefully and giving a summary at the end of the meeting So I'm warning everyone. The minute the word is out, I will catch it and record it and present it to the general evaluator at the end of the session. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Nazeen. And speakers and role takers, be aware, someone is watching. As our grammarian today, we have someone who's very fond of writing and loves the English literature and history. Zareen, so apt to have you as the grammarian for today. Could you please explain your role?
Thank you, Toastmaster Sudipto. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. As the grammarian for the day, it is my responsibility to introduce the word of the day. The word of the day today is perennial, which means enduring or always recurring. Usage of this word would be, she is in a perennial state of happiness. I request everybody to use this word as much as possible, and I'll be writing down the names of the people who use the word of the day. I will also be taking down the good usage of the language, such as phrases and proverbs and good usage of words. And I'll also be looking at the not so good usage of the language. And I'll be presenting my report at the end of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Zareen. And as a listener for today, we have a material specialist who is also a technology geek. George, please enlighten us on your role.
One of the most sincere form of respect is actually listening to what another has to say. Echoed by Brant McGill. Active listening is not about you, it's about other person. So how do we feel someone special today? The active listening will make all speakers special today by actively listening. So what is my role about? So I'll be listening to all the speakers and we'll be taking notes on some interesting questions. So I urge you all to actively listen during the entire session and provide the right answer. So you will be having the points and also few goodies to take away. So thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, George. With that, without any further ado, let's jump. Oh, sorry, I was muted. Okay, with that, without any further ado, let's jump into this prepared section. Let me introduce the evaluator of the first speech. This evaluator has created history by leading her team to craft 2 newsletters in one Toastmasters term. Imagine, friends, getting one newsletter out is such an onerous task. To get 2 in a term, magnificent. She is none other than our own Vice President Education, Toastmaster Hannah. Hannah, could you please read out the guidelines for the first speech?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sudipto. The speaker is attempting his icebreaker speech, and the purpose of this project is for the member to introduce himself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. It's Toastmaster Uthkrsh, and all the very best to you, Toastmaster Uthkrsh. Over to you, TM Modi.
As the speaker is going to deliver his icebreaker, I will refrain from speaking about him. His speech is very aptly titled, I Am. Please help me welcome with a thunderous round of applause, Uthkrsh to shatter the ice with the speech title, I Am.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening to my fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. My name is Joshi. When I was presented with the idea of answering the question, who am I? It sent me into a philosophical dizzy about existence and mine in particular. I wondered and I realized that most of us ponder over the question, who am I, without actually getting to the answer, blurred by our own perception of ourselves. So I realized our own perceptions of us is very important. And a taste of this is my icebreaker today. Perceptions change. This is my general train of thought, and I've been known to dream about things like this during the day. Maybe because I've been taught to do so by my wonderful parents and my younger brother, to question everything. My younger brother is only 17 years old, but he's been a great teacher in my life. Him and I are lovers of imagination, which is probably why I grew up loving superheroes and tales of grit and joy and stories that signify a man is greater than what he is. In my teenage years, I explored my perception and I found my love for rock music because of my guitar teacher that I had, who was only 4 years older than me. I love comedy and the art of comedy, and the likes of Bill Burr, Ricky Gervais, and James Acaster performing their art make up my sense of humor. I'm a passionate sports fan, but football in particular. And when I watched Chelsea Football Club play on TV for the first time, I was mesmerized and taken in by the beauty of the game, which I still love to play today. I grew up in cities of Bengaluru for the last 15 years and Mumbai before that, after being brought over from the lovely town of Belgaum. My dad, on the other hand, grew up in tiny villages all across the state. His story could not be different than mine. When he eventually found a job in Mumbai, he decided to himself that he would start his own industry, which is really inspirational to me. I don't have to look anywhere else. My dad is an amazing dad because of his ability to be regardlessly proud of his own children without them doing anything. The Oxford English School played a big part in my life. The feeling of homeliness was massive there. This feeling of homeliness was supplemented by the fact that my mom taught just a few floors above in the PU college. My mom is a force to be reckoned with. Her ability to withstand hurricanes in life is amazing and inspiring. She has given me love so that I become strong and steady. I treasure friendships a lot in my life. 3 of my best friends have genuinely made me a better human being. One of them is the kindest person you'll ever meet. The second is the most affectionate person you'll ever meet. And third is the bubbliest girl you'll ever meet. They all make me a better human being. I was a good kid in school. I studied and took down notes. However, taking down notes was out of fashion very shortly for me. However, I liked roaming around with a badge that had my name because I was in the school council. I always thought I liked biology. It sort of led me to believe that I had a good career choice in medicine. But as with every confused kid in the country, I ended up taking and recently graduated with an engineering degree from Acharya Institute of Technology. I know it wasn't the right decision, but had I not done that, I probably would not have discovered my love for motivational speaking and life coaching. I would not have started Impactivism by Uthkrsh Joshi, my impact sessions, which I started by gathering my friends around and talking to them and inspiring them. I've realized that I want to emulate the likes of Sadhguru and Robin Sharma and Tony Robbins to help people and myself as well to lead a fuller life. I've also realized that I would not have started My Name is Uthkrsh Joshi, which is my podcast where I talk about my perspective on life, on what is, on what was, and what can be. I know that when I look at myself in the mirror today, within, happiness is immense. And the only reason that we have to live is to be working on ourselves and to realize that we have to calm the storms within before we can calm the ones outside. I know when I look at myself in the mirror that I'm not no more timid and sensitive like the boy I used to be. But when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm actually strong and confident and introspective and wanting to learn. And these are my leadership goals. reminiscing myself to the remains of my past. I remember the first time I went up on stage. I was 8 years old and I had to talk about television and whether it was a boon or a bane. And at the end of the speech, I realized I loved speaking, but I wanted to do it right. I wanted to do it properly, hence Toastmasters and this lovely club of BTMC. I love that I'm here and I'm love that I'm on this journey with you. I know that existence isn't perennial. Thank you, one and all. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Wow, Uthkrsh, wow. What a speech. Members, can we acknowledge the first speech by Uthkrsh? By standing up and giving him an ovation. Thank you, members. Uthkrsh, I see that we have something in common. Apart from our love for football, I was also around 8 years of age when I went to the stage. Just that I ran away from that after going there. Not something like what you did or were able to achieve. Let's move on to our second speech of the evening. The evaluator of this speech is a distinguished Toastmaster who has regaled us with her very enigmatic stories. He is an avid music lover, particularly of the classical kind. Toastmaster Teresa, could I request you to read out the guidelines of the next speech?
Yes, Toastmaster of the day. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Our second speaker is presenting his project on evaluation and feedback, first speech. And the purpose of this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback from an evaluator, and apply the feedback to a second speech. Timer, please note the time allotted is 5 to 7 minutes. Wishing you good luck. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Teresa. This speaker is a student of computer science at Jain University. He is a professional bodybuilder and his interests span all the way from astronomy to human psychology. An interesting tidbit about him. Recently, he was able to have an entire conversation in French with his Nigerian friend. Luckily, when we got together, he was speaking in English. Please help me in welcoming Adithya to the virtual stage with its speech title, The Greatest Wealth is Health.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes. The greatest wealth is health. If you can get through things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of us have experienced this situation? It is the 1st of January. You're all geared up and motivated to join the gym. You start attacking your goal with full force. But in a few days, the momentum and intensity gradually decreases till that fateful day when you give up your fitness goals. Can I get a show of hands? As many of us know, getting healthy is simple, but not easy. All it takes is eating clean, in moderate portions, exercising every day, having a healthy sleep schedule, and staying hydrated. All these habits are common knowledge, and it is fairly straightforward that to incorporate all of these into your daily routines. But why don't we? The answer is fairly simple. We lack the mental toolkit to accomplish a daily goal on a consistent basis, even though we're consciously aware of our unhealthy choices. The good news is this mental toolkit can be built by anyone following the exact sequences of steps which I entail in this speech. Step 1, don't just get motivated, get obsessed. Motivation gets you started, but obsession gets you through every step of the way of your endeavor to perfect health. You see, motivation is kindling, but being consistent is the actual fuel that goes into the fire. Many of us have the common goal of losing a few pounds from our frame. What we don't realize, it's a slow and deliberate process of eliminating unhealthy habits and replacing them with healthier choices. But if one is not with the process of dieting and it leads them into unsatisfactory results. Step 2, be your own hero and be uncommon in your own world. No matter who you are, life will present similar opportunities where you prove that you are uncommon. I began my journey when I was 12 years old when I joined my school gym and began training. Looking back, it was vastly different compared to other sports which my friends took. But the beauty of it is just seeking to improve myself continuously in my own standards. If you were someone who look up to, what would you be doing? What different choices would you make? Keep setting the bar higher and don't look up to others, only to yourself and what you can achieve yourself. Step 3, callous your mind by making yourself uncomfortable and earn your place every day. We all have a voice inside our heads, just trying to direct us to a place where we can be better. We also have another voice which seeks comfort. The voice of comfort always takes down the path of least resistance. The duality of choice is always in one's own hands. You either accept what you all have in life or you use it as a platform to build upon and get stronger. This especially takes place in the beginning stages of any transformation. Are you trying to follow a healthier diet? Watch how your mind starts making up excuses at every instant. Are you trying to meditate daily? Listen to your brain throwing temper tantrums such as, oh, I have work tomorrow, or I'm too tired today, maybe tomorrow. Our mind can be a best friend, but it also can be our worst enemy. Even me, myself, catch myself talking out of daily commitments. Step 4, dip into the cookie jar of your past victories. All of us endure hardship, but the road of being the healthiest self is to inflict self-hardship. Not anyone wants to wake up, take cold showers, endure a cold diet and exercise for 2 hours a day. So you should use a cookie jar mentality to effectively utilize this. Imagine you have a fortune cookie where each cookie contains a sheet of paper in your past victories. It could range from going to the gym, even though you didn't feel like it, to winning one of the most prestigious awards, such as being named the Distinguished Toastmaster. How to proceed to tap into the emotional state which you felt during those victories, and unlock those feelings of euphoria and the sense of massive self-satisfaction. I can guarantee you can think of a time or two when you overcame the odds and tasted success. Go back to that memory and remember how invincible you felt. Finally, I'd like to leave you with a small but impactful message. Only you can master your mind, only you. It takes a bold life filled with accomplishments most people consider beyond their own capabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you. Very nice. The evaluator of our next speech is Grant. Well, I mean, he's a granddad. A past president of our club and a past divisional director. He can strum the guitar with elan, and now he's learning the keyboard. Toastmaster Melvin, could we please have the guideline for the next speech?
Yes, thank you. The next speech is Level 4, Project 1, Leading in Difficult Situations. Wow. And the purpose statement for this speech is, for this project is for the member to practice strategies for adjusting to unexpected changes to a finalized plan. Some difficult thing. And the speech is for 5 to 7 minutes with 5 to 10 minutes impromptu responses. Back to you.
Thank you, Melvin. Our next speaker is no stranger to all of you and us. A Toastmaster of repute. He's a fun-loving person who loves to enjoy rides in water theme park, something very close to my heart as well. She loves to visit waterfalls. In a recent table topics session she conducted, she had everyone rolling over in laughter. Please help me welcome Smitha on the virtual stage to deliver the next speech.
Thank you, Sudipto, for this wonderful introduction. A little girl, Revati, 12 to 13 years old, joined a speech competition and she got A grade in it. She was so happy, so motivated that the next year also she joined the speech. Her name was called, she went up to the stage. The first part of the speech went very well. And then she fumed, she fretted, her hands went into the pocket, took out those piece of paper, looked into it, kept it back, started again. And then there was silence. Her mind completely blacked out. And then it stopped. With her held down, she went down the stage, sat among the audience. She did not want to look this side or that side. She wanted the earth to break and then go inside. She was so embarrassed. Good evening, Toastmasters and dear guests. Every alternate person sitting here either would have experienced this or would have seen someone else going through this experience. And such experiences can make 3 types of responses in the mind of people. First category, they'll think, public speaking is not my forte. I just cannot do it. The second set, I may be able to do it, but if I put a little more bit of work, I don't want to do it. And the third category, if I had someone to help me out, I would have become better. My heart goes out to this category of people. And today, my speech reflects on what I can do to change the life of people like children, like Revati, to rekindle the interest that has gone down. Let me share my screen. I want this to go up. Not able to do the slideshow, but I will go ahead. The project plan. This speech has 2 aspects. I'm going to present a project plan, and the second part, you will have a Q&A session where the audience can ask me questions about the plan. My project plan has 5 aspects: the project, the purpose, the resources, budget, and the key deliverances. My project is, I plan to start a gavel club. And I feel it's the need of the hour. Nowadays, children are very comfortable sitting behind that virtual screen, chatting and messaging. My plan is to bring them out of that comfort zone into the real world, real communication, real challenge. And for that, I want to start a gavel club to make children better leaders, better speakers. What resources do I have for that? I have broadly divided the resources to human resources and educational resources. As for educational resources, Toastmasters International provides the educational resources. It is in par with the Competent Communicator Manual, which was there just before the pathways. And I'm super confident that I can take the members along. I can guide them through those educational resources, through the project, because I have done it personally. As for human resources, I talk to like-minded Toastmasters like DTM Rajiv, DTM Prakash, Toastmaster Surekha, and they are in agreement with my plan. For any plan to be implemented, there need to be money. And that, when I looked at the expenses, the main expense is the amount I have to pay to the Toastmasters International. The $50 for chartering the club and $48 which I have to pay at the end or during a year. So that comes to around 8,000 rupees. And the only income I can get is from the members. Other expenses are the Zoom charges for the time being the pandemic time, or maybe the rent, but I plan to approach the director of our school to give 2 hours of a week's time to gather for the Gavaliers. As for income, my only income will be from the members. And as for members, I plan to charge around 1,000 rupees. So if I get 8 to 10 members, my initial expenses will be covered. As to get members, I will be using my personal contacts, as well as I'll be approaching each one of you Toastmasters, because I believe the word of the mouth is the best advertisement. And to spread the word, I want every one of you to help me. I want to approach the division director, the area director, to spread the word to all the other clubs, so that Toastmasters who are parents, they know the advantage of how Toastmasters is changing their lives. So they can ask their children, motivate their children to join the Gavaliers Club. And then my plan is to target at least 25 members. My educational goals for them, I want every member, or if I have 25, I want all 25 to finish at least 5 projects of the Competent Communicator Manual, and at least 10 of them complete all 10 projects. My plan is to start like a speechcraft module where they will have educational sessions for the first 8 weeks every week. Also, they will get trained for different roles. They will have each one of them will have a personalized mentor. And after the 8 weeks, we'll slowly transform into the regular Toastmasters like meeting, where again, I plan to have educational session every month. Other attractions will be to invite experienced Gavaliers to speak to the members, so that what changes have happened to the Gavalier, they can share it. I also plan to have club contests, speech contests, quizzes, and debates. Open house meetings will be conducted so that even parents or elders can come in and see what's happening and how it is changing the lives. So this is my plan to embark our youngsters on a journey of public speaking, to manage stage fear, to help enhance confidence to become successful in their lives. And now I will invite questions for the Q&A session. The audience can ask me questions and I'll stop sharing.
Madam Speaker, I have a question to you. Is there any gavel club in Bangalore at present?
Yes, there is a gavel club in HSR, and in Belgaum there is another gavel club.
I'm asking for Bangalore. Bangalore. How many clubs are there in Bangalore?
I don't know how many clubs are there in Bangalore, but I'm aware of a club somewhere near HSR.
Have you visited that club?
Not yet. I have not yet visited the club.
Do you know how many?
But I am planning to attend a Gaveliers meeting. I spoke to a coordinator of a Gavel club, Toastmaster Sandhya of Belgaum. So she has invited me to join her club to see the. She was so excited to call me there, and I'm definitely going to do that.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
Madam Speaker, you should have visited that club before presenting your speech today.
Okay, sir, I'll take it.
And my suggestion is that where do you intend to have your gavel club meetings? Because we find it very difficult to continue to attract members for our regular clubs.
I plan to have it in my educational institution. So it will be easy. Once the regular meeting starts, it will be easier to get members for the gavel club.
To successfully run a gavel club, the initiator or the founder, they must continue for a long time in that club. Otherwise, it won't survive. The same thing has happened to Dr. Ralph Smentley. From our president mentioned it. 1905 till 1924. He changed several clubs wherever. So you should be there. What's your how long service? I'm not asking your age. We are not supposed to ask the age of the ladies. But how much service is left for you now to continue the gavel club?
I don't think age is a matter to continue. I mean, age is a matter. Age will matter about coordinating a gavel club, just like you are there.
No. You said that you'll be having the gavel club in your institution. That's why I'm asking the question.
This is my initial plan. Later on, if I can get a place for rent, I can even go to another place.
I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I have a question, Toastmaster Smitha, Roshy.
Yes,
this is Vivek here. I am of the strong opinion that online public speaking is same as learning swimming through postal tuition. So why do you really want to start anything online at this moment? Let's wait for all this to get over and perhaps start after 2 years. I mean, online is really it's not even an alternative. So my fundamental question is, why do you really want to even start the club now?
I totally agree with you, Vivek. And this is just a baby. It's an idea. The implementation will take a long time. It needs a lot of preparation. It needs a lot of members. And I have not put a timeline for this. So as I plan to do it, it may take 6 months or another 1 year. And I can do that. And I hope within 1 year, all this will end and probably I'll be able to start the club.
Understood.
Thank you for the question.
Thanks.
I have a question here. This is Mahesh.
Yes.
So what is the age you are looking at? You said students. So what age are you primarily focusing on?
Gavel club members are 12 to 18 years old. Or they are allowed to. This is from the Toastmasters International. The guideline is given as 12 to 18 years old for Gaveliers. Have answered your question, right?
Madam Speaker, Lokesh here. I have a question because the age is 12 to 18 and we see that in this age group, there are lots of unforeseen commitments that come from students. So once the students enroll, they might be enthusiastic about it, but what you're going to do to ensure that they are committed to complete all the projects? How do you ensure that they don't drop off?
Toastmaster Lokesh, if I take the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, or for that any Toastmasters Club, it is the interest of the person that matters the most. That is first thing. But secondly, like how I started the speech, there may be some people who are not able to do it. There is no one to help them. But if the passion is there and if there is somebody to like me to guide them, they can really achieve their goal. So just ignite the passion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I think my time is up. If anyone wants to ask more questions, I will most welcome to reach me later. Over to you, TM Modi.
Thank you, Smitha. Firstly, for choosing such a noble idea, noble project. And secondly, this project lives the guidelines, right? Leading in difficult times, and what more difficult project than this to start off with. Dear Toastmasters and friends, can we hear it for Smitha for a wonderful speech? Moving on to the fourth speech. The evaluator of the fourth speech is a living embodiment of the theme of the meeting today. Our very own Ralph C. Smedley of the club. His idol is our late President APJ Kalam, and very aptly, just like his idol, he believes in doing good to others and never letting his ego get into the way. Dear Robinson, sir, could we have the guidelines of the next speech, please?
Yeah, the first speaker would be speaking on the project Understanding Your Communication Style. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech, and the purpose statements are for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify his or his primary style. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share the impact of his style on others. Over to Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Robinson. The next speaker is a foodie who loves vada dipped in hot sambar. Who doesn't? And his favorite hobby, guesses? You guessed it, is cooking. He's also a budding writer and has been meticulously maintaining a diary from his college days. Please help me welcome Nagesh to the virtual stage with a speech title, Tailor It. Tailor It by Nagesh.
An audio video check, please.
Both audible and visible.
Thank you. 16 years ago, if I had taken the questionnaire at Toastmaster International to decipher my communication style, the response would have been, this style doesn't exist. With that response, I would have pulled up all my hair and looked like twin brother of our table topic master Lokesh, or dropped this project. Dear Toastmasters and guests, in 2005, I had a tada moment when I got a mail from an MD of a premier developer. Alas, the contents were disappointing. I hurriedly went to my manager. Shri, did you see the mail our man has sent? You're copied. Nagesh, I will set up a meeting with him. Not satisfied with that response, I returned back to my desk, wrote a long mail to that MD. Let's call him Sunil. After that mail was sent, I felt relieved. Later, I was more happier when Shri mentioned that Sunil has agreed to meet us the next day afternoon. But Shri was mighty upset. He felt that my response was very harsh. He said, Nagesh, there's a lot at stake the way you have written the mail. I remember after I heard that from Shri, I went home frowning. I was in deep thoughts. My egotism had turned into fear. Dear Toastmasters, listen to this from my 1990s. As a morning ritual, I took the supervisor and went around the site to inspect the progress of the previous day. The work was not complete. I was all red on my face. I hurled few fits of abuses to him and his team and told them, you ought to finish this by noon. I returned. The procurement manager was waiting for a few signatures. I looked at the forms. Incomplete. Wait back to him. I sought for a cup of coffee from my office assistant. The phone rang. The voice from the other end said, sir, the material you had sought is not available in the shop. That was my runner boy. Can't you look at other shops? Get what I wanted. In the evening, the progress review meetings were also causing my BP to rise. There were many instances where my tempers were flying high. This is how my routines was. Frustrated, one day my wife asked me, is this how you talk to people at work? Not a dame will follow you. I should have taken her words seriously then. Dear Toastmasters, isn't it true that many of us cling to our old habits? Same here. Until we met Sunil, the prominent builder in Bangalore, after that harsh mail of my mail to him. Shri and I met Sunil that afternoon as planned. At the end of the meeting, I was relieved since the possible high-stake situation was resolved. But throughout our conversation, Sunil never looked at me. Instead, for all my queries as well, he was responding to Shri. I was sitting with Sunil, who was multi-millionaire and a great influencer. While he got up, he smiled at me and shook my hands. He said, Nagesh, can you be polite in your mails? I was dumbstruck. That one sentence in that situation was very, very, very powerful. Those days, my conversation were neither friendly to be initiator type, nor organized to be called as analytical. It was neither reassuring to be called as a supportive style. I was direct in all my communication those days, cut and dry, which would have burnt bridges, closed the doors, sold a lot of relationships. When I look back, my direct communication had more perils. It had not helped in resolving conflicts, confusion, and commitments or complications. There were two powerful words in Sunil's sentence that day: please and polite. For me, that sentence was a style by itself, which encompassed all types of communication styles together. I decided I had to be like him. Dear Toastmasters and guests, me, you, we are all have heard or wowed by somebody whose choice of word and communication styles at some point of time we have been wowed. We all want to be better. My transformation journey started in 2005 after my discussions with Sunil. My transformation is something like this. I'm more adaptive, humbler, and seldom flare. I know the importance of tailoring my communication to the purpose and the audience. Everyone has a dominant style. Now I'm working to be more supportive in my communication style. With friends, family, and fools, my communication is almost similar in nature. At work, I communicate as need be. I'm a bit hesitant, bit scared, more polite. I'm also a bit assertive, bit specific, and largely organized. I've grown bit by bit, tailoring my communication. Still, bites to go far. TM Adithya.
Thank you, Nagesh. And fear not if your style is not listed there in Toastmasters. We'll soon come out with a close the door style for you. Let's hear it for our fourth speaker, Nagesh. That concludes our first section for today, that's prepared speech section. A voting link has been already shared on our WhatsApp group. I would urge the members to go ahead and vote, and the code is 1289. Again, the code is 1289. Please take 30 seconds to do it, and I will do the same.
It appears the code doesn't work. Please check. 1289 doesn't work.
Yes, that was what I was informed. It didn't work for me either, actually. Kirtana, is that the right code?
Why we can't try 128988?
Yeah, please try it now. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That also doesn't work.
Yeah, so these.
No, 1289, it is working, sir, now. Try once again.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience.
Doesn't matter. It happens. No, it's not working to me.
No, it's still not working.
Just refresh the page, sir. You cannot do, you'll have to refresh the page or open the link all over again, then it works.
Yeah, please refresh the page and go ahead. It will work.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, should we move forward, or I think we need 30 seconds more?
No,
I'm getting an error. There must be a number greater than 1289.
No, it doesn't work for us.
Yeah, same error is for me as well.
Let us proceed with the meeting. By the
Yeah,
time
let's proceed and let's sort it out in the background, and we can do another check after the next section as well for this. We will now move on to the second section of the meeting. This is a section which I've always looked with a great trepidation. I've been always scared, and now I know the reason. I recently chanced upon this quote by Dr. Ralph C. Smedley. The unprepared speaker has a right to be afraid. So looks like I've been in good company all the time. Our table topics master for today is an ardent fan of yoga. He wanted to be a doctor, but instead today he has become a pranic healer and a trainer of meditation practices. So let's say doctor for the mind and the soul. Yoga is a secret to his ever smiling demeanor, and is always comes out shining on the top. He firmly believes that a life lived on principles is worth living. Please help me welcome Lokesh to the virtual stage. Over to you, Lokesh.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sudipto. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again. Table topics, it's a very long-standing tradition of Toastmasters that is intended to help members develop their ability to organize their thoughts quickly and respond to an impromptu question or the topics. And sometimes I wonder, why is this session called as a table topics? And honestly, I have no idea. And I wish I could ask Dr. Roshy Medley this particular question. Anyway, we can speculate. My personal theory is that someone would have said, let's discuss topics like those we would discuss around the dinner table with friends and family. And hence, maybe dinner table topics or just table topics. So I, as topics master for today, will give you a topic. Invite one person to speak on this topic for approximately 1.5 minutes. And since today is a very special day, all the topics are related to Toastmasters. With this, let me invite the first speaker. And the topic is, life is a series of table topics, and may I invite DTM Ushi Mohandas to share her thoughts on this with us.
Mr. Table Topic Person, fellow Toastmasters, first of all, good to be here. Second of all, thank you for the honorary DTM. I'm not one. I'm an ATM. So by choice, I prefer to just stick to what I do. A series of table topics? No, my life is not. My life is a roller coaster, and I'd rather just relate to that. There are many ups and many downs. The problem here is even when I'm down, I'm always looking up. So the secret lies in the fact that nothing comes easy in my life. And I have seen that people who've really been successful, it's only by default if they haven't gone through the roller coaster. So sometimes there are good days. Sometimes you have opening body conclusions. Sometimes there's zero structure. Sometimes you completely forget the script. Sometimes you know the script, but you never get a chance. Sometimes what happens is you speak too much, and sometimes you don't have enough to speak. So at the end of the day, what happens is, I believe it's a journey, whether it's a table topic or a roller coaster. There is a beginning, and there sometimes can be a chance to go back up there and not be as scared. So fellow Toastmasters and guests, in all our lives, it's only memories that we have, and I think the attempts that we make. So if you don't make an attempt, there's very big a chance that we will not be at the bottom of the roller coaster. We can be somewhere on the top and somewhere on the bottom. The same way, some attempt the table topic, some cannot. Some do a good job and some just cannot. So with these few words, I hand it back to you, Table Topic Master.
Thank you very much, ATM Ushi Mohandas, for giving us the enlightenment on the Toastmaster journey as a journey of life. Thank you very much. So for the next topic, think of one member of Bangalore Toastmasters Club whom you know very well, because you will be raising a toast to this friend. Think of one member of Bangalore Toastmasters Club whom you know very well, because you will be raising a toast to this friend. But please ensure your toast is well roasted and buttered up. And for this, I'd like to invite Rajdeep Manwani. Rajdeep, your microphone is unmuted if you're speaking. All right, we'll move forward. So for this topic, then let me invite Melvin.
Hello. Hey, Lokesh,
Sorry.
I'm there. I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, no, we can hear you now. Thank you
Okay,
very
I'm
much.
so sorry. I couldn't unmute, and my son was far off, so I.
Rajib, don't have to worry, Rajib. You know, you raised the toast to me because I was going to speak.
But please ensure it's well roasted and buttered up.
He has already roasted Melvin.
Okay, I raised this toast to since Melvin had asked me, so I'll prefer to move ahead and roast Robinson, sir. I remember Ralph C. Smedley had a son-in-law, and his name was Robinson. So the same name comes to the founder of our club, which is Robinson. So I'm wondering whether it should have been Robin's son-in-law or should have been Robinson, sir. But just to tell, Robinson, sir, being the founder of this club has been an absolute delight. I remember when I came into the club, he said, "You are a special member of our club." I remember whenever we had any sort of meeting, especially when we had the swearing in ceremonies, he was the first to get me into any game when he thought I was left out. So although he didn't leave me out, I think so he had a big problem in his house because he used to leave his wife and come to the club. And I remember he used to tell me that whatever happens, I go back and I make chapatis for my wife. Isn't it right, sir? Even today, he makes chapatis for his wife. So, can you believe it? He's an ideal Robin son-in-law and an ideal son to the Toastmasters and an ideal husband, all in quotes. But one thing he has about Melvin is he doesn't have the Mel, he has the win. So he keeps winning. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure and excellent learning to hear to that short roast and a toast. Thank you very much. Okay, so the next topic. Now, in a Toastmasters meeting, in any Toastmasters meeting, prepared speeches are lovely, evaluations are deep, but table topics give me nightmares in my sleep. Prepared speeches are lovely, evaluations are deep, but table topics give me nightmares in my sleep. And for this, I'd like to invite Mahesh Shankar, Toastmaster Mahesh Shankar.
Did you say Melvin?
Mahesh. I believe he dropped from this. So let me invite Saurabh Khetan, would like to take this topic. Kunal is. All right, Melvin, then may I invite you?
Hi.
Hi, Kunal, please go ahead.
Hi, could you please repeat the topic again?
In the Toastmasters meeting, prepared speeches are lovely, evaluations are deep, but table topics give me nightmares in my sleep.
Thank you so much, Table Topics Master, for this impromptu topic. Okay, maybe this is so appropriate. Perhaps I'm having one right now. Not done a prepared speech, not done evaluations, and this is my first table topics. Perhaps I'm having a bit of a nightmare, but I think this is the phase and this is a journey. So I will learn and get better at doing this. And also there will be a day where I will look forward to the table topics more than anything else. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kunal, for sharing this. And I'm sure that with practice, all of us, we become great at things, at the various topics. Thank you. Next topic is that, assuming today is a very special day, as we know, and if you had an opportunity to ask any question to Dr. Ralph Smedley, what would you ask and why? And for this, I'd like to invite Toastmaster Vivek.
Thanks so much, Table Topics Master. If Dr. Ralph C. Smedley, if I have a chance to really ask him, I would ask him what happened between in the 10 years when he had started the Toastmasters Club informally, and when it really took off formally in Santa Ana, California. Before that, he started off in Illinois. What really happened? Because that should have been a really a phase where you would feel dejected. Oh, I started so many things, nothing really worked. Why should I even continue with this? That is, I'll forget it. I'll not start it again. What made him start again and again? Because this is what happens for most of us. We start something, it doesn't work, we won't even start. More particularly me. Even if it starts, I'm looking at everything to be positive the day I start, the moment I start. And if nothing positive comes on the very first instance, I just leave it and think that, oh, this idea does not work. No persistence, nothing. So just finding out what kept him going and so that we are all, it was just fortunate for all of us that he kept going and made this into such a movement. That's what I would perhaps ask. Active. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Vivek. Yes, it's very inspiring to ask Dr. Smedley what kept him going in spite of all difficulties. Thank you very much. For the next topic, now assuming Dr. Ralph C. Smedley was alive, young, dashing, handsome young man, and if you had 90 seconds opportunity to ask Dr. Ralph Smedley for a date, what would you say? If you had a 90 seconds to opportunity to ask Dr. Ralph Smedley for a date, what would you say? And for this, I'd like to invite Toastmaster Preeti. Toastmaster Preeti.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Lokesh. Okay. If you could repeat the topic once again, I'm so sorry.
Yes. So if you had 90 seconds opportunity to ask Dr. Ralph Smedley for a date, what would you say?
The first question would be, how to speak. Yeah. On a date, yeah. I should actually practice going for a date and then maybe think how to actually ask Ralph C. Smedley. But yeah, if I had to ask Ralph C. Smedley, the first thing would be, if you were not to, start up this Toastmaster club or Toastmaster league, what would be your next goal? I'm sorry, I don't think so. I have many words to speak on this topic. I'm so sorry. I think that's all.
Thank you. That was a very intriguing question, because I would have also asked Dr. Smedley that, hey, if Toastmasters, if someone else would have started Toastmasters, what would you have started?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Preeti, for your question. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So next question is, this is for people who have been attending the meeting for some time. And here my question is that, what one change would you recommend in conducting Toastmasters meeting? And here I'd like to invite Toastmaster Guru Prasad. What one change would you recommend in conducting Toastmasters meeting?
Thank you very much, Lokesh, for a wonderful topic. There are many changes we can recommend, but as you said, it's one change. Okay, the Toastmasters, normally we go with a format and we have to follow the guidelines. But of course, even though sometimes we come up with some kind of a creativity innovation in conducting the meetings, okay, to encourage variety of people, like say variety of groups, variety of social groups, a variety of people from different domains. Sometimes better to come out of the format and conduct the meetings. May not be acceptable, but still, when I observe, when I'm talking to the youngsters, probably tomorrow, Smitha want to start up a club for children. What make them excited? We need to understand the mindset of the people. So when we go in a particular format, children might get bored. So you come out of the format, try to bring innovation, try to do something different, will always be more interesting and help more Toastmasters to attempt different variety in their communication style and help them to become creative leaders in their own space. Thank you very much. Over to Lokesh.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Guru Prasad, for this suggestion, and we'll take it up with the TLI, your suggestion. Thank you very much. Right. So the next topic is that Toastmasters meeting has many roles. So which role would you prefer in a Toastmasters meeting? Given an option, which role would you prefer in the Toastmasters meeting? And here I'd like to call upon Toastmaster Chetan KS. Okay, Chetan is not there. Puneet, Toastmaster Puneet, which role would you prefer in the Toastmasters meeting?
Thank you, Toastmaster Lokesh. A lot of background noise due to Ganesha festival today. Hope that's okay with you.
Yes, the line is clear for all of us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So I would prefer Toastmaster of the day. I really enjoyed the preparation which I did it. I was really panicked before I did. Practiced so much, talking to so many. I was literally tensed. I don't think so I will be so tense or panic for any other role. I would just come and do it. I have not taken a role on table topics master TTM, wherein I have done most of the other roles, but I enjoyed Toastmaster the day role. First time, but I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was nice to know your favorite role. And so next question is, and this is a question to one of our guests, and may I invite Moin Hussain to help us. What inspired you to attend today's Toastmasters meeting? Moin, if you could unmute your microphone. Yeah, thank you. What inspired you to attend today's meeting?
See, actually, hi everyone and Mr. Lokesh. See, actually, I heard one of my colleague talking about usually you see public speaking skills and everyone doesn't have that skills to build up coming that should be in a practice basically talk to people and you get that practiced, and that's when you become a good speaker and motivator also. So that's how I think it's a time when it's a time when we just I heard from my colleague also saying that you should be joining this club, and that there are many motivators and the people who there are mentors who support you to develop your skills. And that's when I thought joining this club. That was the thought behind it.
Thank you very much, Moin Hussain, for sharing your thoughts.
Thanks so much.
This reminds me of my first day as a guest to Bangalore Toastmasters Club, and when I saw many people speaking so well, I was wondering, can I do it? And the speechcraft was the beginning of the journey with Toastmasters. So with this, we come to the end of the session. It was a pleasure conducting this session, and over to the Toastmaster of the day. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you, Lokesh. Such an interesting session, You had a range and variety of topics from across, and you made sure you involved our founder, Dr. Alcis Medley, in your topics as well. Please, let's hear it for our table topics master, Lokesh. That concludes the second session, which is the table topic session. And please, could we go on to the WhatsApp chat, get the link and vote again. The passcode remains same, 1289. Okay, that went through without any glitch, and I'm hoping the same for all of you. We will move on to the final session for today. This is the general evaluation section, and I would call upon our multi-talented general evaluator. Someone apart from his other talents who also conquered his fear of heights very recently by doing 7 different rope activities. Please help me welcome to the virtual stage Alan Aranha to enlighten us with his evaluations. Over to you, Alan.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. Firstly, I've had a wonderful time witnessing this meeting. Now, I logged in about 6:15 and I could see the Sergeant and Tom, Kirtana already there, and every person who joined the meeting with a smile on her face, she was welcoming them into the meeting, which I thought was a very nice touch. While there was time left for 6:30, she kept the proceedings going by introducing people, by encouraging conversations, which is very nice, especially for guests who are coming in before the meeting. Now, the meeting started at 6:30 on the dot, and that was commendable. As a sergeant at arms, Kirtana, I felt you were your chirpy best, and as a person who starts off the meeting, I felt you started the meeting on a great note, because that energy actually carries throughout the meeting, and I think you did a very effective job. Having said that, Kirtana, one thing that I would like you to challenge yourself with is to try and stand up and deliver this Sergeant at Arms role. And there are a lot of other aspects which could come into play, like your body language and everything, which I think could be an added dimension to when you are delivering this role. But for a job well done, please give the Sergeant at Arms, Kirtana, a huge round of applause.
Thank you so much.
And then we moved on to the President, Srijit. Now, the President, I'm a personal fan of his, personal stories that he narrates. Now, this time around, he spoke about the starting of the Toastmaster journey by Raz Thies Medley. It was definitely inspiring, and it really inspired us, especially when we had speakers coming up and table topics. One suggestion I have for the President, and this is an aspect, is that there were a lot of dates that were there. He had a lot of dates to mention. And because of that, that staggered his speech. And it requires a lot of recollection. And I think when it comes to a presidential speech like that, you should work towards simplifying that aspect. And I feel that's why your personalized stories are that much more effective, because they're simple and they don't have these, huge number of dates that are there that will probably stagger your speech. But having said that, please give the President Srijit a huge round of applause. Now, then we had, anyway, the President, before he gave a speech, introduced the secretary who gave the minutes of the meeting. Now, I personally must admit that I actually look forward to the minutes of the meeting at Bangalore Toastmasters. And I think a great credit must go to Preeti for this. I think she does an incredible job of trying to sum up the meeting in a very, very creative manner. And even this time, she didn't disappoint. So please give Preeti a huge round of applause. Now, I will come to the Toastmaster of the day at the end, very end. Now, moving on to the prepared speeches, we had our first speaker, Toastmaster Uthkrsh, and who was evaluated by Hannah Victoria. Can I request Hannah to give her evaluation of the first speech, please?
Sure, General Evaluator. A very good evening once again to all our Toastmasters and guests, and a special reach out to Toastmaster Uthkrsh. Toastmaster Uthkrsh, it was a brilliant speech, and the purpose of your speech was met 100%. The greats about your speech were a strong opening. You explained the title of your speech, inclusive of the audience. And I got to know several aspects of your life, from your family, your father, mother, your younger brother, and your love and respect for them. And I'm very glad you mentioned that your mother is a force to reckon with. You also went on to mention about your superheroes, your passion for sports, especially football. So many of our members who are football fans would relate to you better. And you did that throughout, actually, because you mentioned so many aspects of your life. And you also mentioned about your interest with guitar and comedy. We also got to know what qualities resonate with you best. When you mentioned about your friends, you said the most kindest, most affectionate, and the most bubbly. So that was good. You also touched upon your education and what you're currently doing. Very impressive to know that you have your own podcast. And another strong point of your speech was the very good usage of the English language. Very simple, yet very well delivered. And your conclusion was also great. You explained why you joined Toastmasters, and you included us. You said, I'd like to continue the journey with you. So you made us inclusive. There are two areas which I suggest you look into. One is if you had dressed formally, just in terms of a smart casual, I think as a speaker, you would have created a better impact. The second is that in the body of your speech, the order was a bit random because you started off with your younger brother, then you went on to your superheroes immediately, then comedy, sports, then your parents. For the audience to follow, we normally have a structure in mind, family or education. So if you follow a structure, it would be better for the audience to understand. Having said that, I thoroughly enjoyed knowing you, Toastmaster Uthkrsh. You touched upon so many aspects, and as I mentioned earlier, many of us would relate to different small aspects of your life. Yeah, wishing you all the very best, and I look forward to more speeches from you. Thank you, and over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, and thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, for that very comprehensive evaluation. Now, as a general evaluator, it is my duty to not evaluate the speaker, but to evaluate the evaluator. One suggestion that I have for Toastmaster Hannah is that while she was reading out the guidelines, at the end of it, she said, "It's Toastmaster Uthkrsh and best of luck." I urge you not to do the same, because it's the duty of the Toastmaster of the day to introduce the speaker with his speech title and all those details. So that's something that you can keep in mind. Please give a huge round of applause for the evaluator and the speaker. Now we move on to the second speaker. The second speaker was Adithya M, and the evaluator, his evaluator was Teresa. May I request Teresa to give her evaluation, please?
Mr. General Evaluator, Toastmaster Alan Aranna, fellow Toastmasters, guest, and my friend, Toastmaster Adithya in particular. Toastmaster Adithya, as your name denotes, the sun. You are shining today with your formal attire, looking smart, and also with the soothing background of the seashore. Your topic selection, the greatest wealth is health, was the need of the hour. Content or script was very well structured, prepared with good opening, body, and conclusion. I was echo points you mentioned. Don't get motivated, but get obsessed. Be your own hero. Earn your place every day. Depend on your cookie jar. And Toastmaster Adithya, you explained all the 4 points very well. Congratulations. When I say these, my best views or your best presentation, I would recommend few points where you can take this speech to another level. First is on vocal variety. You opened your speech by saying, how many of us are aware of our health? If I was in your place, I would have opened the speech with a bang by saying, dear Toastmasters, how many of you are aware of your health? Those who were dozing also would have got up and listened and hooked to your speech. Also, you concluded the wonderful quote or wonderful saying, only you can master your mind, only you. I recommend Toastmaster Adithya. The conclusion also should be so powerful that only you can master your mind, dear Toastmasters, only you.
Yes.
And second recommendation is for your gesture. Your hands most of the times were only this. So I recommend not use only appropriate gestures. And the third point was your time. Your stipulated time was minimum 5 minutes and maximum was 7 minutes, where you ended your speech at 4 minutes, 33 seconds. You had still 1.5 minutes. If you had used your pause and pace and volume and pitch, you would have delivered wonderfully.
Yes, ma'am.
Still, long time to go. As I conclude, I enjoyed and I also liked the way you presented your attire, the background, the points and script, and please use the recommendation in your next speech. Over to you, General Evaluate, Mr. Arana.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Teresa, in the role of evaluator for that evaluation. One suggestion that I have for Teresa is that while giving her evaluation, one of the things, if she can keep in mind, is to make note of the lighting that is there in the room, so that she is it looks much better and you can be seen much better. The other thing that I would ask you to consider next time around is the positioning of your camera at probably the face level, which otherwise can be distracting. And another thing that I would urge you as an evaluator is that when you are speaking, you probably do not require your headphone. And while you were giving the evaluation, you were holding on to the headphones, which can sometimes be distracting. So that's something that I would ask you to consider when you perform the role next time around. But for the evaluator and the speaker, please give them a huge round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Now moving on to the next speaker, we had Smitha Roshy, and she was evaluated by Melvin Smith. May I request Melvin to please give his evaluation of Speaker 3.
Yes, you require me and you have requested me. Thank you. Smitha Roshy, you picked a perennial issue with youngsters. communication. I am certain your educational institution will welcome your idea wholeheartedly. Now you saw the excitement in my voice. I wish you had a little more excitement in yours. You started with the story of Revati, and that built up our appetite for more. I wished you would ask a few questions and had some audience interaction just to get the sense of the size of the house, what's happening. You declared your intention to start a gavel club and you put your ideas in a plan, in a PPT. I believe that was a very good thing and the logical thing to do. Since your project was for your strategies to adjusting to an unexpected changes to a finalized plan, you were sure that there are going to be a lot of questions that you had to answer at the end. And you got 4 excellent and pertinent questions. I felt you did well, but it would have been nice if you showed some appreciation for those questions by starting by thanking those people when they asked us giving you those valuable inputs. To make your speech more lively, I would challenge you to challenge yourself with some vocal variety. Otherwise, and a smile in between. Otherwise, it will look like you're nervous and your nervousness will actually show. I have no doubt that your project is on the way to reality. Congrats to you, Smitha, Roshy.
Thank you, Mervyn, for that comprehensive evaluation. Now we move on to the next. Now please give a huge round of applause to the evaluator and the speaker. Now moving on to the next speaker, we had Nagesh, who was evaluated by Robinson D'Souza. Over to Robinson D'Souza.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Nagesh presented his project speech, understanding your communication style. There are lots of positive aspects which I liked. They include confidence, preparation, presentation, content, and of course, his dress attire. After listening to his speech, I recall one sentence I read today morning in a newspaper that says, words are under your control until you speak them. But you come under the control of your words once you have spoken to them. Yeah, this sentence I recall for the following reasons. Mr. Nagesh, your opening remarks, you received a mail from Sunil. Immediately you said to Mr. Sri, did you see the mail from our man? You used the word our man, not mail from Sunil. That means you had that something reservation, apathy, a danger from Sunil. Of course, after he used 2 more words that day during your meeting. That's please and polite. These 2 words change all your life. See, now you say, I am now more adoptive, more humbler, seldom flare. You also said, I tailor my communication to the purpose and the audience. Excellent. I am more supportive, but here, bit hesitant. But you continue to use the word bit for polite, bit assertive, bit specific, organized, bit organized. But if I were in a position, instead of bit, I would have used the word more hesitant, bit hesitant, more polite, more assertive, more specific, more organized. Toastmaster recognizes 3 types of style, 4 types of styles: direct, initiative, supportive, and analytical. But we have come to know that your style, present style, thanks for those 2 words, pleased and polite, your style is supportive. I suggest you 3 simple improvements. Several persons were involved in a presentation. Sri, Sunil, that runner boy, and your wife. There was scope for you to use their voices, but you tried, but more practice was required. Next one is that background screen and your dress merge. Almost they were similar. And the third one is, I suggest you to use a plain background and a dark suit. You stand out. Then the last one is that there was a light on in front on your left side. Its shadow was falling on your right side. The light should have been kept in your front side. These we learn, and such mistakes when happen, we can point out and improve. You can improve upon them. All the best. I'm really amazed by your presentation.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yes,
Anand.
sir. Thank you, Robinson, for that clinical evaluation. Now, this is a feedback that I would like to give to all evaluators in general. One is that before you start your evaluation, it would be nice to reiterate the purpose of the speech before you get into providing your feedback, because it helps a lot to understand the basis of your feedback, and it also helps you construct your feedback from that purpose statement. So yeah, so that is something that I would request all the evaluators to keep in mind in general. But for the evaluator of the fourth speech and the speaker, please give them a huge round of applause. Now, before I move on and give my evaluation of the table topic master and the TMOD and introducing my tag team, I would request you all to, select the best evaluator. The link has been shared and the passcode is 1289. So I'll see you back in 12 seconds. Yeah, so hope you all have casted your vote. Now, moving on to the table topic session, we had the very enterprising Lokesh, who had provided us with the very interesting table topic sessions. Now, Lokesh, while I found your session to be very interesting and you had a very interesting mix of topics, one of the things that I would ask you to keep in mind is that some of your topics were long and it made it a little difficult to understand, which is why on more than one occasion you had one of the participants asking you to repeat the topic, and those topics where the sentences were too long, even the duration on which the speaker spoke on, the duration of their speech was kind of short, right? So if you would notice that when you kept your topics short and shorter, the duration with which they spoke was also longer, because it becomes easier to understand and talk on. So that is something that I would ask you to keep in mind. But you actually gave an opportunity to many people who didn't have an opportunity or a role. And for a job well done, please give Lokesh a huge round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Now, before I go into speaking about the Toastmaster of the day, I'd like to introduce or ask the the tag team to give or share their findings. First, I would like to call on the timer, Pratik Uttapa, to give his evaluation on timings.
Thank you, General Evaluator. For the today's meeting, all the speakers were within the specified time, and no one has overshot the duration. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Pratik, for that short and sweet evaluation. Now, for the forthcoming, role takers that I'm going to call on, I would request you all to restrict your evaluation for paucity of time to just within a minute, right? So I would now like to call on the R counter, Nazneen, to give her evaluation.
General Evaluator, this meeting was actually for the record books. If we had collected 1 rupee for every hour, we would be rich today. I will just say Toastmaster Sudipta Ghosh had a few hours and arms, and Toastmaster Smitha had a lot of sows, 5 sows, long pauses, and around 15 hours. Toastmaster Uthkrsh, for the first time you took on stage, you took the cake today. Can we have a round of applause for him? And Toastmaster Nagesh, 2 long pauses. Toastmaster George DSA was so he used men couple of times. Otherwise, everyone was good to go. Grand total of 90 hours and other filler words in 2-hour meeting with 25 participants, and that's an average of 3.2 per speaker. Thank you, and over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Nazneen, for that very comprehensive R counter evaluation. Now I'd like to call on the grammarian, Zareen George, to give her evaluation.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. You can give a pat on your back. I found lots used by Sudipto, Uthkrsh, and Melvin. Some of the good usage I noted down were kept the momentum high, nerve-wracking experience, giants tread this earth, Colossus among those nurtured, those giants nurtured a dream in his heart, took 20 years to fructify, multifaceted personality, eclectic interest, philosophical discourse to be little kids, motivation is kindling, cookie jar of post victories, burned bridges, ever smiling demeanor. Some usage which could have been better. Minutes stand past, should have been just minutes have been passed, minutes passed. Seed got sprouted, should have just been seed sprouted. Plant grown up, should have been plant grew up. Story could not be different than mine, should have been story could not be more different than mine. And there is no humbler. The word instead of humbler, you should have used more humble. So that's it from my side.
Thank you, Zareen, for again that very comprehensive evaluation. Now, one feedback that I have for Zareen in particular is again your positioning of your camera, which I think can be very distracting and for you to even perform the role, because
At one point in time, I saw even a cup being, brought into the camera as you were talking, right? So that's something that you can keep in mind while taking up the role next time. Now, moving on to the listener role, can I call upon George, please?
Yeah, thank you, General Evaluator. I jotted down many questions, but in interest of time, I'll limit to a few questions. So first questions goes in this way. What type of music would Uthkrsh like to hear and type of sports he love?
Football.
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 Yeah,
Rock
that's
and football.
Oh, perfect, yeah. So, okay, the second question goes, which school Uthkrsh studied and the engineering college?
Acharya.
Acharya.
And the school?
Oxford.
Oxford.
Perfect, guys. Yeah. Okay, so the next one, can you list 5 key steps which Toastmaster Smitha Roshy has planned to execute a Gavel Club? The project milestone, I could say. Okay, let me continue. It is project, purpose, resource, budget, and key deliverables. These are the major project intermediate milestones. Yeah. Okay, so next, how many members Toastmasters Smitha Roshy is targeting minimum to start a club?
25. 25.
Yes, yeah, you're perfect. Yes, you hit the nail right. Okay, so in the Toastmaster Nagesh Ramurthy speech, who was the Sunil in his speech? Who was he?
Boss.
Sunil was the builder, I guess, right?
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I will go to the last question. Only you can master your mind. Who quoted this phrase? Which speaker?
Adithya.
Adithya, second speaker.
Exactly. Yeah. So I want to shout out that looking into the responses and answers, we have all made speakers and the participants special. Thank you. Thank you all. And over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, George. Now, for all the role takers, can we have a huge round of applause? The tactic. Now, moving on to the Toastmaster of the day. Now, the Toastmaster of the day is a thread that actually binds the whole meeting. And I felt that Sudipto did a wonderful job doing just that. He was well rehearsed, he was well dressed, and one of the very interesting things that he did was he not only introduced people very, very aptly, but he also tied one speech to the next. And the other thing to commend him on is the fact that as the Toastmaster of the day, one is the Toastmaster of the day is one that ties the whole meeting together, but doesn't become the central attraction and try to focus a lot on themselves. And I think Sudipto did that wonderfully well. Now, if there's one suggestion or a couple of suggestions that I have for Sudipto, is one to work on his voice modulation. Now, when you have a meeting spanning up more than 2 hours, it is very important to work on voice modulation especially when you come in at different points at time, and it would definitely enhance the effectiveness of the role. The other aspect is to try and infuse humor into what you do, because it's always a nice touch to add. And of course, it's always very important to smile more often. So, especially it happens when we're well dressed, well rehearsed, we lose our spontaneity, and that's something that I would ask you to consider next time round, right? But having said that, Sudipto, I think you did a wonderful job and you held this meeting really well together. So for a job well done, please give the Toastmaster of the day a huge round of applause. Now, before I hand it over to the Toastmaster of the day, I would like to thank the committee for this opportunity. The other thing that I would like to say is that as a general evaluator, I get to evaluate everyone in this meeting, but nobody gets to evaluate me, which is why I would request all of you at any point in time, once this meeting is over, feel free to reach out to me to give me feedback on my role. So that I would really appreciate it. Having said that, I'll now like to hand it over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Alan. Firstly, for the great nuggets of feedback you gave me personally, and for the fantastic job. You did a super job in, not only giving your evaluation, calling upon the evaluators, and, mentoring and shepherding them together. Let's all hear it for Alan and his team of evaluators and tactics. With this, I come to the end of my role, and I would really like to thank the committee for considering me for this role. Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sudipto. Thank you, Toastmaster Sudipto. Dear Toastmasters and guests, for the wonderful job done by our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Sudipto Ghosh. How do we appreciate? Please give him a loud round of applause. And not only Sudipto, all the role takers, all the speakers, I sincerely thank from my heart that you all have done extremely well and all were inspiring others. Thank you so much for being part of this meeting. Now, I think we have not voted for the best evaluator and best role taker and the taggle team. I would request Kirtana, have you shared?
Share the link.
Yeah, so please, password is same 1289. So I hope everybody would have voted by this time. Thank you. Now, Kirtana, is the result ready?
Yes, I'm sending it to you now.
Okay, fine. Today is Ganesh Chaturthi. I wish everyone a happy Ganesh Chaturthi. And tomorrow is the day, our Ralphie's medalist death anniversary, 11th September. Actually, 11th September, it's a scary day, right? Do you remember? Anyone remember 11th September?
Attack.
Almost 20 years back. 20 years back.
World Center.
Yeah.
New York.
Now results are ready. So I would like to announce the best taggle team goes to Toastmaster George, and best role taker, Toastmaster Sudipto Ghosh, Best Evaluator, Toastmaster Robinson D'Souza, and Best Table Topic Speaker, DTM Rajdeep Manwani, and Best Speaker, Toastmaster Nagesh. I would request everyone to unmute yourself and please applaud for our winners. It was very, very nice meeting. Thank you everyone for making this a wonderful meeting. And with that note, I adjourn the meeting number 1289. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.